All right, ladies and gentlemen of my courts and judicial process class, because of the COVID-19 virus, of course, you know that the university has gone to online learning or distance learning. That means at this point, group projects are outlawed. So, of course, per our syllabus, I split you guys up into 10 groups, the odd numbers being prosecution and the even numbers being defense. And I gave you guys 5 different cases. One versus two has a case that they're working against each other on. Three, four, five, six, seven, eight, respectively. So, what I'm going to do now, because it's going to be impossible for you guys to work in groups, and that we're definitely not going to be able to meet together to do any mock trial presentations. So what I've done, um, is now an individual project. There's no longer a writing component. What I'm going to do, there is going to be a one discussion board. So you still are required to study and know your case. What I will do, there will be 5 questions, anywhere from 3 to 5 questions on the discussion board. I haven't determined how many. It'll probably be 5 questions. And what you have to do is answer those 5 questions on the discussion board. Either 3 to 5 questions on the discussion board. So by answering those questions, of course, I'm gonna grade the questions because I know the problems. But I'm gonna ask you about certain witnesses and things of that nature. So you wanna if you are on an odd number team, that means you're prosecuting your case. So you're still working on the same case I gave you. You're just not doing it with the group anymore. But you have to respond you have to respond to the questions in the discussion board, and that'll be the 15 points for what would have been your group work, but it's no longer group. So all you have to do is log on to the discussion board. The discussion board will be up on April 6th. So it'll be up April 6th. I'll probably keep it up all day. Probably keep it up through April 8th. So it'll come up probably at 8 a.m. on April 6th and be up until midnight on April 8th. So you'll have essentially not quite 2 days to complete the discussion board. And all you got to do is go in and answer the questions I give. And they're going to be generalized questions. So they're questions that will generally apply to every case. So I'm not going to ask specific things, but I'm going to ask 3 generalized questions, and everyone needs to chime in depending on what side of the case. And remember, I know what side of the case you were on. So so because I know what side of the case you're on, I know how you should respond, and I know the facts of all the cases. So that's how we're going to do the group project. So it's no longer a group project. So don't worry about working with group members, but do worry about printing off that problem, whatever problem you were assigned to. So if you were group one, your prosecution, let me see. Got it in here somewhere. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. So if you're group one, you are prosecution, and group one consists of Mr. Almoteri, Ataya Harris, and let me see, Kiana Jones and Jessica Witter. You guys are prosecuting. Group two is the defense. That's Ashley Anderson, Janera Harrison, Kaylin Red, and Kiana Wimple. Um, and you guys are the defense. And the case you guys are going to be working on is People versus Andrew Madison. So even though you're not working in groups anymore, I've already separated you into what side you're going to be. So you need to prepare on your own to be prepared to answer questions. The questions I post in the group not the group assignment, but in the discussion board. Group three, moving on. Group three is Jayla Armour, Zaria Henry, Juanita Rios and Dominique Young, and they are the prosecution going against Group 4, Lanaya Bates, Sabrina Holly, and Parrish Rippey, who is the defendant. And their case is New Columbia versus Chris Archer. And of course, I made the cases available earlier in my earlier posting, so go back through the announcements. It's not date restricted, so you should be able to go straight to it. And pull up the case. It's a PDF, so pull it up, read, and prepare. At this point, you got 2 weeks to be prepared to answer questions. Group 5, Brajay Brown, Asia Holt, Alexis Rosario versus Group 6, which is Kyra Burton, Katina Johnson, and Colby Saunders, who would be the defense. So Group 5 is the prosecution. Group 6 is the defense. In your case is United States versus Michael Davis, and I've also provided that case. So just click on the PDF, read the case, and of course, if you're a prosecutor, think about the things and the witnesses you will call. Cause I'm going to ask questions about that. It's going to be about the case. What witnesses are the best? Who's the weakest? Stuff like that. About your case. Definitely gonna ask questions about that. So you're gonna have to know the case to be able to answer those questions. And also then Group 7, Jada Burwell, Alexis Keys, Janaz Sumter. They're prosecuting versus Group 8, who Matthew Clary, Janari Millette, and Quatiana Swindell. And your case is United States versus Dominique Stevens. And once again, individually, you need to go through the case, read it as a PDF for the case, and be prepared to answer those questions individually. Now, of course, because I know you guys have grouped me, and I will say this is my announcement, because you guys have grouped me, and you may have already established group me's, because it initially was a group assignment, I am cool with you guys helping in the discussion board or rendering assistance to your group members, because it was a group project originally, so I don't have any problem. It's not cheating if you guys as group members have a means of contacting each other outside of it being in person to help answer the questions. So you can still, as much as you can, work together to answer the questions. So that's for everybody. So Group 9 is Justice Epps, LaStacia Miller, and Tiara Turner. They're prosecuting versus Group 10, which is Jordan Funderburg, Alize Moffitt, and Kamani White. And they have Oregon versus Willie Freeman. So once again, I provided the case for you in the earlier announcement. So go on the announcements tab in Blackboard for everyone, and just click on it, and you can click on that announcement with I think it's the group assignments or whatever, and you can click on the case you're assigned to. Also, at this point in time, I know you guys are supposed to email the the group leaders or the group delegates are supposed to email the indictments and the discovery. That is no longer a requirement. We're not doing that anymore. So the assignment is totally changed. So at this point, all I want you guys to do is just answer the discussion board. Okay. So your group assignments remain the same, because it at least tells you what case and what side of the case you're going to be handling. And you can still choose to communicate as a group to prepare and at least know what you're talking about and ask questions to each other. So I don't mind if you answer the discussion board with help from your group members. We can no longer meet as a class, so we can't have the mock trial actually presentation. So you're gonna have to kind of, I know it won't feel the same, but you're gonna have to present the case or be prepared to answer questions on the case individually in the discussion board. So depending on how many questions I put in the discussion board, is going to be either 3 questions or 5 questions, because the assignment is worth 15 points. If I put 3 questions, that means each question is worth 5 points. If I put up 5 questions, that means each question is worth 3 points. So either way it goes, you need to know how it's going to be graded. So but it is a total of 15 points. Let me make sure. Matter of fact, I think it's actually more than that. Let me see. I'm sorry. It's going to be 5 questions. I'm sorry. And each question is worth 5 points. So it's actually worth 25 points. So I'm not going to require a writing portion to this at this point. So it's just going to be the discussion board. So be prepared in the discussion board to answer those 5 questions, each worth 5 points. So those are my directions to the assignment chain, the group assignment chain. So please make sure you click on this so we can be on the right page. Of course, you guys can always reach me um, via email, and of course, I'll post my email and via text if you have any questions. I'll post my mobile my business text number as well. So I'm not going to say this on YouTube, but it'll be posted to the announcement. All right. You guys be good.